Hey everyone, Happy New Year, it's Gildamem here. I hope you enjoyed the holidays. Also, when do we stop saying Happy New Year? Is that the second week or is all of January okay? I don't know, maybe let me know in the comments. Anyway, have you ever felt poor in the game? All your friends running around with legendaries and infusions? Do you wonder what it'd be like for Skrit to steal from you and never notice? Well then, do I have the get rich guide for you? I'm going to keep this guide simple and explain what I think are the main details in every method and allowing you to take it from there and see what works for you. I may even make a more detailed video on each method in the future, but for this video, I will talk about how gold works in the game, the methods along with my conclusion, and if necessary, I will mention other videos on my channel or other content creators which I think are relevant to this video. So let's begin. I think it's important for people to understand how gold and the Guild Wars 2 economy works. Unlike other MMOs, Guild Wars 2 enemies rarely drop gold. This can be very discouraging or confusing when players farm in maps for hours or are playing any other content and realize that after an hour of grinding, they barely gain anything like 5 gold. Most of the drops will be in terms of items or materials where the actual value is at. The problem is, the game doesn't really tell you this, so you kinda have to figure it out. This does add the extra step of obtaining gold since you now have to sell the items on the trading post or add in the other step of maybe crafting something with that item and selling the final product. But it's one of Ainit's great ways of balancing the inflation economy, something other MMOs don't do very well. Since the trading post has a tax fee, 5% when you list an item, 10% when you sell the item, this also takes gold out of the game, and it helps keep things somewhat more balanced on top of the fact that gold itself doesn't drop from 99% of the content. Last piece of information before we get into the methods of money making, 2 websites that can help track your farming are Guild Wars 2 Efficiency and Data Wars. Both websites have their own version of how you want to track your farming progression with some filters to choose, and Guild Wars 2 Efficiency is great for also tracking everything on your account. I'd highly recommend you use these websites to know what you do and don't have. If you need help using Data Wars, Sam has a video explaining how Data Wars can be used. Now that you know that piece of information, let's jump into the methods. I'll go over each one from the easiest to most difficult. I may even reference other guides if necessary from my channel or other content creators out there who might have them ready. Farming. Farming is what most players do in many MMOs. It is the easiest way to earn gold simply because it's just playing the game and getting whatever items or materials from the content that you're playing. Open up the Guild Wars 2 farming tracker on Efficiency or Data Wars and off you go. Now the open world is what most people associate with farming. You will see plenty of meta trains being advertised. You have the Silver Waste train, the Living World Season 4 train, the Drizzlewood Coast, and you'll even see hybrid trains that mix a bit of everything. While some farm trains might be better in gold per hour, when you understand just exactly what it is you are farming and what's the best way to do that, because you also want to use your boosters such as XP, Magic Find and Karma, and anything else as efficiently as possible. This can be in raids, fractals, PvP, and open world. You play, you gain. Example, in Silver Wastes, it only gives about a 15 gold per hour. But the upside to this farm is it's pretty decent for providing you with spirit shards, a currency in your wallet which is needed to make a lot of big ticket items in the game such as legendary weapons or armor. This is because Silver Waste is literally just a NASCAR racetrack of you and the squad running around completing events in a never-ending cycle, and because of that, these events give a lot of XP. So while it isn't the best for materials, it makes up for it in spirit shards. PvP and World vs World. They're also good providers of Spirit Shard, mostly in an item called Tome of Knowledge. Consuming one gives you a full level's worth of XP. Now PvP and World vs World mostly rely on reward tracks to get items you need, and with boosters this can help complete them at a faster rate. PvP also has some pretty good daily AT rewards for the average PvP enjoyer. Other metas to look at are the Living World Season 4 meta train and the Drizzlewood Coast train. In the LS4 train, the main currency that you get is volatile magic, but this is traded to vendors to buy trophy shipment boxes. Opening those will give you lots of T5 and some T6 materials. And there are other items such as rare items and also various nodes throughout the farm to mine, harvest, and chop down to supplement you. And this puts LS4 at one of the higher end farms with about 25 to 30 gold. And it can even go upwards to 40 gold depending on the market situation. The LS4 train is also a lot more fun than your traditional farm the same map for hours. This is because it runs on 4 to 5 different maps for a duration anywhere from 3 to 5 hours, so you get so much content done in that time, and every commander might tackle different events depending on what's going on that day. I have talked about this train before and I'll include the video for that in the description. Emmy has also recently made a video, so I'll link that one as well. Drizzlewood Coast, on the other hand, is again another map similar to Silver Waste where you will be there for a good 2 hours, farming and running events. And while it falls towards the average 20 gold to 30 gold per hour, it makes up for the fact that it gives you a more rounded variety of base materials, so you get a bit of everything. Now, switching up to raids, you will realize that it's not one of the best ways to earn gold, but it does provide the upside in finishing your legendary PvE armor, since you need to do raids to get the legendary insights, and also the magnetite shards that are a currency in raids can be used to buy yourself some ascended gear. The same is with strike missions, which don't provide a lot of golden items, roughly about 10 gold an hour, but it's also the time it takes to do them. The main ones, which are the 6, will only take about 40 to 50 minutes, maybe an hour if you wipe a few times or had some downtime. Strikes also gives you a currency called Prophet Crystals, which can be traded for ascended gear. Now let's go over to Fractals, which is a highly recommended method for your daily routine. Fractals drops a lot of loot, from rares to exotics to T6 materials. Doing just the daily T4s and CMs could get you 25 gold per hour, and that just depends if you have the lowest fractal title tier. The upside here is if you have the higher fractal titles, such as Fractal God, you just keep getting an additional box of encryptions to open, increasing your gain. Because of these titles, fractals can go anywhere from 25 gold to 50 gold per hour, and one of the best farms out there for fractals is the Fractal level 42 farm. It takes about 2 to 3 minutes to complete one round of this run, and by doing it for an hour, it can really boost your gains with some rares, exotics, materials, and the fractal currencies you gain, which can be traded with the NPCs. More on the Fractal 42 farm in the video linked in the description. I covered just some of the more popular farms over here, but the key takeaway that you need to understand is each method is giving you a different way to earn gold. Some give you items you may want directly, such as T6 materials or base materials. Some may give them to you in the form of exotics or rares, which you may need to sell on the trading post, or others that may give you a good amount of currency, which can be used to further your account in different ways. This is without even mentioning that there are some metas in the game that give you a specific map currency, which will help you when you try to go for items that may require these currencies, or materials that can only be purchased with these currencies. Some of those materials may be even time gated, so getting a head start is important to avoid downtime when you want to craft a certain item. I have a time gated video, it will also be included below. Investing and speculation. Investing is simple. You buy an item today and know that in a certain amount of time, usually some months later, it will eventually give you a profit. Now, speculation is you buying an item and hoping that it may be used in some content in the future and it might give you a profit. The difference between the two is investments are mostly a sure way of making money. You have facts, evidence, or previous history to back the investment, while speculation, you're going off based on very little information that you might have had, or an assumption, or maybe just a complete gamble, and the instinct is that it may work. There are a few sure methods to invest in Guild Wars 2. The easiest ones I'll say are the festival updates. You know pretty much 90% of the content that will arrive in that update, 10% maybe if they bring something new to the update. So you simply invest in items that you'll know will bring you easy gold. Example, in Festival of the Four Winds, because Zephyrite boxes require ectos or other base materials like elderwood or mithril or even silk, oftentimes those materials spike in price during the period because people are buying the boxes and opening them hoping they get a small chance of getting a big ticket infusion. Or in Halloween and Winter's Day, when you buy the items in those festivals for a cheap price during second or third week and selling them months later when those items can't be obtained when the content is gone for the next year. There are plenty of other items or materials you can invest for their own reasons as long as you've done your research. Now, speculation, the best example right now, we have an expansion that will be releasing end of February, and we have information on the Gen 3 legendary weapons, but we still have no idea what materials they will actually use. So some are speculating T6 materials will still be required as in Gen 1 and Gen 2s, others say it may be new materials found only in End of Dragons maps, and others are saying it's a mix of both. So everyone is speculating here, and the only things we can go on are based off the previous Gen 1 and Gen 2 legendary weapons, which even with a few similarities between them, there are some major differences. So everyone is taking a gamble with whatever materials they are buying into. One of the ways to look at where to invest or speculate is joining communities and seeing what people mostly look for or need for themselves. And even the conversations about meta builds or testing certain class builds out of the current meta or upcoming future patch changes. Basically, keep an eye out for any information you can use. Of course, if someone is heavily suggesting certain items, be a little cautious and ask yourself, why do they want people buying or selling that item? So try to think before jumping on their bandwagon. Both methods, investing and speculating, are long-term, so it's not for players who have no gold to put into those items. You have to work with your situation. If you have items you are saving to buy or craft right now, then your priority isn't on the gold that you can make months later. It should be in what can you make right now, every day, to help you get closer to the current item you want to make. Investing and speculation should be used where you have enough gold to put aside for those long-term payoffs while still having enough gold to keep you going on your current priorities. Next on the list is flipping. Flipping is when you buy an item and sell it for a higher price, usually within the same day or at most the same week. Flipping is a short-term method of getting gold. You play enough of the game that you start to realize where certain buy orders are on different hours of the day, so you buy those items at their lowest possible price and then list them at a price that will net you a profit. Sometimes these items are best to flip during the weekday, where traffic might be slower at certain hours, so there may be less activity on the item you're trying to flip, or weekends, where it may benefit you when there is more activity. The more content or hours you play, the more likely you will notice where the prices are. And this also helps if you are someone who regularly needs to buy items from the trading post. You want to get them for the lowest possible price. And sometimes that's all it takes for you to notice that a certain item goes for a less amount at this hour and more expensive at the next hour. Always look for items that have an active buy or sell rate. What I mean by this is go for items that cost less but may provide a higher return. Items that are more expensive may not sell so quickly. So think of, what do players require to buy and sell every day? What materials are heavily needed? Upgrades, food, exotics, or rares maybe to feed those poor Mystic Forge gamblers? Ask yourself these questions and work from there. You don't have to spend a lot of gold by trying to flip a specific item. In fact, you should consider flipping items that will cost you almost nothing, silvers or coppers, so that you can buy a bulk of these items and allowing you to have a more diversified portfolio. Using this website here, guildwars2bltc.com, it will help you look at demand and supply and the price points for all tradable items in the game. If you are unsure how to use filters on the website, Xanar has a video showing exactly how to use the filters to get the items that you want to make money in. Flipping is a decent way to earn yourself gold, while also playing other content during your playtime. All you do is simply put buy orders, pick up the items whenever they arrive, you list them and wait for them to sell while you are playing. Flipping doesn't require a lot of gold to start, so you can go with 50 gold and slowly work your way into getting more every day. I will say that it does take time to get the right pace you want, since the early stages will be trial and error, experimenting with different items and seeing how well they can be flipped, but eventually you can build a decent amount of items that are on your daily flipping list that can consistently earn you a decent profit, all while you're playing other content. The variety is key in flipping. Don't try to use 50 gold into one item. Instead, try to get that 50 gold and put it into multiple items of low value but can be bought at a high velocity. What I mean by that is a bulk buy, things that will cost you a couple silvers or coppers, and that 50 gold in total will be used on 7 or 10 different items rather than just one. Crafting and processing, the final and probably most rewarding method in money making. Crafting and processing can pretty much be summed as combining all the other methods into this with more to do. Crafting and processing is simple, as a baron named Enko says, you buy or farm stuff, you do stuff to stuff, and then you sell that stuff, and then big profit. Processing items is most commonly associated with salvaging of items, but it also includes what you do after salvaging these items. This is where the extra step of crafting comes along. Once you farm anything, invest or speculate in certain items, or even buy them to be flipped, you can always check to see if they can be used in the recipe to craft other items that are valuable and also demanded by the player base. Recipes for upgrades such as runes, sigils, consumables, time-gated materials, or simply refining materials such as elderwood logs into elderwood planks, or mithril ore into mithril ingot. This is where you might want to spend some time researching what can be crafted out of these items that you have, or what can be further broken down into something more useful by salvaging them. While this method might require more effort and research, like the rest, it eventually does become easier to get into as a daily routine. As long as you're consistent and want to improve, just like raiding or learning a new rotation, class, whatever it is, you'll start learning to link some items without missing a beat. I know it can be overwhelming just thinking, well, where do I start? Well, just ask yourself as a player, what are some of the things you've had to get to help your gaming experience? Whether it was gearing your characters, helping your guild in certain upgrades, providing food for your raid or fractal groups, or even putting out banners for your squad. The everyday playtime of you, your friends, or other players are a great way to start, so just go from there. The final piece of information here, with the farming tracker from both websites, you can download the CSV file after your run and adjust the sheet to your liking. Investments, flipping, and crafting may require a more personal spreadsheet, one that you can understand where your gold is at and properly track your returns. And if you are a data enjoyer, then I'm already assuming that you have data sets or probably went and created one while watching this video. Now, a spreadsheet does not have to be the most complicated one, nor does it have to include everything. Remember, you want a spreadsheet that you can track your items on. You don't need other pieces of information if you're not even focused on that. Also, I'm not saying that you actually need a spreadsheet for the last 3 methods of gold making. I know a lot of players who have a decent amount of gold doing all these methods and have a very simple sheet or even just a notepad to remind themselves of what is being spent. And there's others who don't even have any of this. But a spreadsheet does make things more organized and easier. The more items you are involved in, the more you have to track. So having a place to keep all that nice and tidy makes it easier for you. Sam has a video which is a very beginner-friendly guide on how to create an Excel spreadsheet and also link it to your Guild Wars 2 API key. It's super easy, super simple. He mentions how to customize it to your liking without needing to do too much effort. I hope this video gave everyone a clear understanding of all the types of gold making in Guild Wars 2, and to new players, I hope you now understand why gold rarely drops in the game and these types of money making. All the videos I mentioned are going to be linked below along with my socials and discords, and if you have any questions, join us on the Overflow Trade Discord. It is a trading platform for Guild Wars 2 players and also a place where farming trains, community partners run different events, and plenty of gold making advice for players who have questions. But that's all for today. If you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing and leaving a like, as it does help with the YouTube algorithm. If you have any questions or want to leave any advice, comment them below for others to see. And you can also find me on twitch.tv/guildmm live on the following days. So feel free to jump on stream and ask me and the viewers over there. But until then, happy gold making, and I will see you when I see you.